The Ford GT is one of the most stunning and gorgeous cars ever crafted, which pays homage to the original 1960s GT40. Another timeless masterpiece that doesn't seem to age. Every once in a while, these big auto manufacturers break from the ordinary and develop genuinely exquisite cars. In this case, we owe our gratitude to the late, great Carroll Shelby.
Shelby was always known as performance. Not only performance counts, but the beauty of the automobile has been something that has been my interest all my life.
The early 2000s was an interesting time for Ford and Shelby as they were busily developing fun and exciting concept cars, most of which paid their respects to our favorite classics like the GT40 and Shelby Cobra. Though there was also some oddballs in there, such as the 427 concept. This must have been where the design of the 2006 Ford Fusion came from. Minus the gargantuan engine, of course.
Very, very large.
Aside from the oddities, these cool modern retros were coming in hot and demand was growing. This was the moment for these types of cars to make their mark. All around the same few years, three very special cars were being developed. The Ford GT, the Shelby Cobra concept, and one other modern retro that would have made the perfect trio in Ford's supercar lineup. Though they all looked promising, the Ford GT was the only one officially produced. It's a beautiful car, but it's missing its siblings. Hello, welcome to DA Garage. I'm David, and I love the Ford GT. In fact, I own two of them. See? And some GT40s. That's cool. And of course, my favorite. But what about this mystery car that was supposed to be sold alongside the Ford GT? No, this isn't a mistake. These V10 trucks play an important role in the story of Ford supercars. The Blue Oval was looking to replace their popular but aging 7.5-liter V8, also known as the 460. Ford wanted to give their hardworking customers a more powerful engine, but their 4.6 and 5.4-liter V8s just didn't offer enough grunt. So, simple solution: graft two more cylinders onto your 5.4 V8, and that's what Ford did. The result was a big ol' 6.8-liter V10, the largest modular engine ever built by Ford, and it offered gobs of torque, suitable for commercial trucks and towing. Also suitable for exciting performance cars, at least in theory. Ford's engineers and development team were busy planning and plotting ways to use their V10 engine design in a number of their high-performance cars, simply because the modular V10 produced more power than the V8, and more power is more better. What the Blue Oval didn't do is drop that chunky V10 straight into their cars. That wouldn't have worked, as it's much too tall and heavy for a car. Instead, the V10s used in these concept cars are derivatives from the OG Triton V10, used in their trucks.
It's a V10, folks.
Remember that 427 concept car with the face of a Ford Fusion? That was powered by a behemoth 7-liter 605 horsepower V10. That silver Cobra concept I've been showing at the beginning of this video? You guessed it. A monstrously powerful all-aluminum V10, churning out a mind-boggling 645 horses back in 2004. Even the Mustang got to toy around with the dreams of a sweet V10, which, if produced, would have given serious competition to the Dodge Viper and Chevy Corvette Z06.
I got family.
Our favorite Ford GT nearly got the V10 treatment as well. Both John Coletti, the head of Ford's special vehicle team, and the man himself, Carroll Shelby, approved of plunking a V10 into the GT. However, uncertain finances and a tight development timeline forced the team to use a much cheaper and easier 5.4-liter V8 with a supercharger attached. No one's complaining, but it's interesting to ponder. What if the Ford GT got a 600 plus horsepower all-aluminum V10? Ford wasn't yet done daydreaming about the possibilities of a V10 supercar that would go alongside the GT. And as we all know, the Ford GT was designed after the 60s GT40 icon. But what other car back then was synonymous with the GT40? The 1964 and 65 Shelby Daytona Coupe, a monstrous car specifically designed and built to take down Ferrari in the GT class. Shelby had won a title in the International Championship for GT manufacturers during the 1965 season with the Daytona Coupe, becoming the first American manufacturer to win a title on the international stage at the FIA Championships. With a winning legacy, both the Shelby Daytona and GT40 became American racing icons. So when a GT40 was designed for the 21st century as a Ford GT, why wasn't a modern Shelby Daytona also developed? Well, it was. And this is it. This is the Shelby GR1, a modern take on an American classic. Yes, that looks like chrome, but it's not. It's a very polished aluminum, which seems like a brash decision for the designer to make. However, when you learn how radical the rest of the car is, it makes sense. The year is 2004, and Ford looks ahead to a bright future filled with incredible cars, or at least one more to add to the list on top of the GT. After the successful launch of the Ford GT, the wild GR1 would fill its shoes and carry on the torch. That was their plan, anyway. Shown as a clay model to the public at the 2004 Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, it received a warm reception, and Ford's advanced product creation team was all set to develop the real deal, a fully functional GR1. Development started with using the Ford GT's chassis as a base, modified to house the power plant front mid rather than the GT's rear mid placement. They needed plenty of space up front because this ferocious coupe was going to make use of a large, heavily modified V10, like we talked about earlier, pumping out a whopping 604 horsepower from its all-aluminum 6.4-liter 10-cylinder. Not only did this car look muscular, it was a beast that delivered. The GR1 put down 0 to 60 times of 3.9 seconds, with a top speed touching 190 miles per hour. All that power went through a limited slip differential equipped 6-speed manual transaxle, rotating huge 19-inch rear wheels, wrapped in ridiculously wide 345 by 35 rubbers. Can we take a moment to appreciate how gorgeous this interior is in its simplicity? Smooth, clean lines. Nothing looks cluttered or overcomplicated. The gauge cluster looks like an expensive watch. I absolutely love that design. Personally, I think that American car interiors in the 90s and early 2000s was a low point. They were not good, but in this GR1, the interior is excellent, just right. But that shouldn't come as a surprise, since this was, after all, a very special car making its first public appearance at the 2005 North American International Auto Show. Phil Martins, Ford's Group Vice President of Product Creation, made this statement about the GR1's market position. Our goal this time around was not to create the ultimate top-speed, high-performance sports car. Really, we intended to strike a better balance of design, capability, and usability that might appeal to someone considering a Ferrari 575M Marino. A stunning car, full of potential, but not without some looming troubles. Though brutally powerful, the GR1 was way overweight, tipping the scales at 3,900 pounds, when it was supposed to weigh 3,500 pounds at most. And this car was smaller than the Ford GT. Also, to be production viable, the GR1 needed its height to be raised and its wheelbase lengthened. These little issues weren't anything Ford couldn't handle, but they weren't the real problem here anyway. At the beginning, Ford GT sales were strong, prompting Ford to go ahead with developing this GR1 car. But after a short 2 years, GT sales plummeted,
Not good.
causing Ford's accountants to slam on the brakes lest the GR1 suffered the same fate. The unfortunate writing was on the wall. The glorious GR1 was too great a risk to build and produce, and as much as I hate to say it, that was the right move for Ford to make, as the crash of 2008 occurred just a couple years later. Lance Stander, CEO of California-based Superformance, distributors of low-volume, high-end recreations, sought to reach an agreement with Ford and Shelby America to purchase rights to produce a modified version of the GR1. After many years, success was had. In 2019, Superformance announced that it would be taking orders for its own Shelby GR1. Finally, this exciting piece of automotive history could be yours, with an even more powerful engine, pumping out a claimed 750 horsepower, and a not-so-thrilling price tag of 250,000 USDs. But that's okay, because people with money would buy them, and us plebs would have the chance to see them on the streets and at car shows. Imagine these two cars together. How cool! The Ford GT has a sibling. Almost. The small flame of hope has burnt out as the federal government halted implementation of the regulation that would have given Superformance exemption from the safety and labeling standards required to build the Shelby GR1 in low volumes. If they can't build it in low volume, they can build it with lots of noise. As of now, the future of the GR1 looks very unlikely. We hope, but that's about all we can do. And now you know all about the Ford GT's almost brother, the Shelby GR1. And I like to think that would be really cool to see it at car shows and see it on the road. But if that would have been produced, it would have been normal. So that's kind of interesting to think that, yeah, we would like it just like we like seeing the Ford GT today. But if the GR1 was produced, it would be normal just like the GT is. And so you would see them together and it would be cool, but it would also be normal. And so this whole discussion that we've had about the GR1, it wouldn't be a discussion, we wouldn't even know it. So I just personally think it's kind of interesting that the GR1 is more interesting because it didn't happen. I don't know, just food for thought. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I have lots of other interesting videos, cover cars and motorcycles, but if you like both, well, I got both. So go ahead, check out my other videos, got a lot of other enjoyable content. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next time.